So you guys can see crossing this bridge here is pretty awesome. But anyway, next part to my story. You know, I get in trouble that night, okay? I get into a fight, which I will absolutely, whenever I've done something wrong, I will 100% admit it, and I will take responsibility for it. I take responsibility for everything I've ever done, the good and the bad. But what I won't do is take responsibility for other people's blatant mistakes and their blatant abuse of power. And when I didn't do anything wrong, I'm going to make sure that, you know what I mean, I hold myself accountable. I feel like they need to be held accountable too, especially when they're the people who are in place to hold everyone accountable. They better be accountable to themselves. So, you know, I get into a fight with somebody and go to jail again. It's a series of unfortunate events, it seems like, at this point. But regardless, you know, this worked out very good in their favor because they immediately take the offer they gave me off of the table. You know what I mean? They immediately take it off the table. Like, oh, well, look at this guy. You know what I mean? Look at him. He's done 2 bad things and really I hadn't. Like, you know, I shouldn't have. The fight, yes, I own up to that. Take responsibility for that. You know, but the other part, no, I did not resist arrest. I didn't do any of those things. So anyway, they take that off the table. And just leading up to what really happened this next time, long story short, I get offered work release.
The 2 left lanes to keep left to US 41.
So I take that offer and I get put on work release. You know, now I'm an extremely spiritual person. You know, I feel like I'm very in touch with the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call that. I've always been spiritual, always known that I always know like I had a purpose in life, you know? And so whenever I am going into this work release in jail, it was really, really bad for me. Mentally, spiritually, like I don't know if anyone's ever been to jail, but it's not what it should be. Mm-hmm. It should be focused on rehabilitation and helping people, and in reality, it's a really messed up place.
It's so much worse.
So, you know, I just literally felt like on a spiritual and a soul level, every time that I would go into work release and come out, it was just not, like less and less of Joshua Whitehead came out of that work release. Less and less of the person I was came out of there. And it felt like it was really eating me alive. And I just couldn't, it was really getting to me. So one day, like it was getting to me so bad, you know, that I like refused to go in one day. Like I called my mom and I told her, like, you know, Mom, I'm sitting in front of work release and I really don't think I can go back in there because I'm truly afraid that, like, the person I am is not going to come back out again if I do, you know? Well, she's like, well, don't run, don't take off, whatever. We'll talk to them and, you know, they'll work with you. We know you'll be able to get some help. So I'm like, okay, of course, I'm all for it, you know? So she comes up there with me and we talk to one of the COs, one of the police officers, and tell him, like, listen, I really feel like I don't know what I need to do, but maybe go check myself into like to Cross Point or to one of these places that has a mental health thing, because I really feel like I'm losing it in here. You know what I mean? Like, it's not because it's hard to do, like it wasn't a hard thing to do, but just because of the energetic situation that jail is. Like, I literally felt like it was eating me alive, you know? And they tell me, well, we can't let you do that, you know. If you want to go spend some time in the suicide cell, you can go do that. Well, no, that's definitely not a good idea. That doesn't help anybody. So I tell them, no, whatever. It sucks that you can't help. I'll just go back into work release. So I go back in there, and over the weekend, I'm just really, really ruminating on this situation. And what really got me to this next step was over that weekend, someone went up and they hit the button on the wall, which is to get a hold of the people in charge in jail, you know, and they tell them, hey man, I've got a really bad toothache. Can I go to the emergency room? They're like, oh yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, no problem. Let them out to walk to the emergency room. And so I'm not knocking anybody, but a lot of people in work release would do that just so they could go out and smoke a cigarette or go for a walk or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, no one should be locked up like that, in my opinion. So I get it, you know, but I'm sitting there thinking, well, shoot, maybe I should press this button and ask too. Well, another person the next day does the same thing. They hit the button and say, hey, I have a really bad toothache. Can I go to the emergency room. And they're like, sure. Yep, let them out. You know what I mean? So it wasn't 20 minutes after that. I'm like, okay, this is going to work. I go and hit the button, and I'm like, hey, man, listen, I really need to go check myself in at Crosspoint. Like, I'm having some serious mental health issues. And they're like, sorry, can't help you with that. So I'm sitting here like, you know, I just want to try to help put someone in my shoes here to understand what I'm going through in that situation. I'm sitting here thinking, like, feeling, you know what I mean? Like, literally, it feels like I'm losing myself in this place. Like, my soul and my spirit is slowly getting sucked out of me, and they're not trying to help. Like, they are literally not trying to help. They're willing to let someone, they're literally willing to let somebody walk to the hospital for a toothache. But I'm sitting here telling them, like, this is a really serious, this is a really serious situation for me. I really, really need to. And they're not willing to help, okay? So the next time that...
Keep left to US 41.
The next time I get out, I'm working all day, and I'm just sitting there constantly just fighting back and forth with myself, you know? Man, should I just take off? Should I just run? You know what I mean? Like, I can't go back in there because I'm literally losing myself. Like, what do I do? And then I'm sitting there thinking, like, I've only got a month left of work release. Like, I can do this, you know what I mean? But I'm fighting back and forth with myself, and I realize, like it's so bad. Like, I really felt like I had to take off because they really were not trying to help me at all. And I really felt that bad. So I send my mother a text message and tell her, like, I love her. I'm really, really, really sorry. Like, I didn't know what else to do. That I'd be calling her later that night, you know, and I turned my phone off, and at work, I asked people if I could go to the bathroom, and I took off. Without a plan, you know what I mean? This wasn't something I thought through, or, you know, it wasn't anything like that. It was just, I had to. So, call my mom later that night, and as soon as I turned my phone back on, you know, I have a text message from my mom, and also from the people that run work release. It's actually a couple of text messages, like 3 or 4 from different people that all say practically the same thing. All of them basically say, like, we're sorry that we didn't get you the help that you needed. You know, we're gonna give you 48 hours, you know what I mean, to come turn yourself back in, and if you do, we're just going to act like this didn't happen. You can finish your work release. Or again, we're sorry we didn't help. Just please come turn yourself back in. So, again, my mind is at war with itself, because I've already been through some pretty messed up stuff with Gibson County. You know, they literally took my house, basically robbed me during COVID. So I'm thinking, you know, there's no way that this is real. Well, my mom and my stepdad find me later that night, and they tell me the same thing in person. Like, no, they're serious, Josh. Just go turn yourself back in, and you're going to get to go back to work release, and we'll figure out how to get you help. So I'm really, really considering it at this time, you know? This is still the same day, same night that I took off. I end up that night, I was out that whole night. You know, the next morning comes around, and I decide, okay, I'm going to call them and see if this is really a thing, you know, and because they said it was, you know, why wouldn't it be? But there's so much doubt that I have here because of everything I've been through. You know, I call them and ask, you know, hey, so-and-so, I'm not going to say their names on here because I don't know if I should, but, you know, this is Josh, and if that offer's still on the table, I will come turn myself in. They respond, well, no, we're not going to do that for you anymore, even though this was still in the allotted time. Like, I literally still had an entire day that they said I could turn myself in. But when I call, they tell me that there wasn't a warrant out for my arrest yet, but that they were about to put it out. So I just needed to turn myself in and deal with the consequences. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense to me, you know? So I just tell them, well, then no. Like, if it's going to be the same thing anyway, then I'm not going to turn myself in, you know what I mean? Go to somebody's house who I honestly, I thought was going to help me, in their house for 30 seconds, and something like 10 or 11 cops walk in the door. Okay, so I'm just, right now, I guess I'm asking myself, and I'm asking anyone listening to this in the world, like, obviously, I must be pretty freaking important to walk into someone's house and 30 seconds after that, 11 freaking cops come in to get me. Like, it really just, it doesn't make any sense. Why? Like, for one, there wasn't a warrant out for my arrest, so why are you even looking for me? For one, like, the cops, I could have got pulled over in a car and they wouldn't have even known that I wasn't where I was supposed to be. So I'm just trying to make sense of this. You know, I get arrested, but I tell these cops, like, they can't take me. You know, it's the guy that's running for sheriff. It seems to be anyone who is trying to really be something in my town is there. All the detectives, like, there's a whole story about a cop that did some, like, all these people that are just, I don't know. Anyway, they're there. They arrest me again. But since I told them they'd have to kill me to take me, they take me to the hospital, okay? I'm in the hospital for like 6 hours. And then the now sheriff in town, he wasn't then, well, he takes me back to work release. So, okay, yes, like, this worked. Okay, great. Like, they're holding up their end of the deal. I'm in work release. This is awesome. They dress me out. So, like, you know, I'm still struggling with the whole situation, but you know what? At least they finally did something they said they were going to do. So I'm getting dressed out, about to go back, and someone who I went to school with, Dad, he works in there, and he just asked me, you know, like, Josh, what's going on, man? We're just really worried about you. And I told him, like, well, for one, this place is, I feel like it's destroying me, for one, and then for two, you know, there's so much messed up stuff going on, not by you per se, but by a lot of the people like you, you know. I told him that, and a couple minutes after that, cop comes in from the other side of the jail and tells me again, hey, since you told the cops that they had to kill you to take you, you're going to go to the suicide cell. You're only going to be there for a couple of days, go through that process, and then you're coming back to work release. So again, I'm going to bring attention to this. All of this is on camera, okay? All of this is seen. Like, all of this is recorded. Like, these text messages would not be hard to get, which I'm going to get them. This video footage would not be hard to get, so I'm going to get that as well. You know, but I spent 3 days in that suicide cell, truly believing I was going back to work release, but instead they throw me in jail. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Again, these are the people who are supposed to be helping us, and so what the heck is going on? You know what I mean? I try talking, you know, I get a court-appointed attorney and tell them what's going on, and they tell me, okay, you're fine. Don't worry. I've already talked to the judge. We're going to get you the help you need. Make sure your mom's at court because you're going to Cross Point. I'm like, okay, thank goodness. You know what I mean? I go to court. And here's another big part, right? So when I got in trouble before, the prosecutor that prosecuted me is now the judge in our town, and that is a huge conflict of interest. So you can't have someone that was involved in a prior case of yours judge you. Yeah. They can't even be involved in that case. They can't. There's no way they can do that. That'll come on further in this story. But regardless, they deny me going to Cross Point, which doesn't make any sense. My attorney even seems kind of confused because she truly said that, like, you know, the judge said I could go, but he's sitting here telling her, no, he needs to sit for a while, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, I can't even make that decision. Really, it has to be made by the person in charge of the jail. Okay. So I have to go to the suicide cell again. Not by choice this time, because they're saying I have to go through this whole process in the jail, talk to jail command, and then they can give me permission to go check myself into Cross Point. So I do that. You know, I'm in the suicide cell for like 5 days. I'm in isolation. I go through that whole process, talk to mental health, talk to all of them, finally talk to the person at top, and they tell me, oh, well, I can't make that decision. It's up to the judge. So again, here's a huge problem. Whose decision is it? Who is in charge here? Who's at? For one, I shouldn't even be in jail right now because you all told me I shouldn't be. That's your words, not mine. You all said I was going back to work release, so I don't even understand why I'm in jail. Second, now you're telling me you're going to give me help, but the two people who should supposedly have the power to give me help, neither one of them have that power, and they're pointing the finger at the other one. So I see what's happening. In my opinion, I thought, oh, okay, so I'm at this point I'm hit. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, there's no, you know what I mean? So then I start really, like, I kind of really gave up on the judicial system at that point. If I hadn't already in my life, at that point I really did, because they had, you know, I will give people many chances, but they have let me down so freaking much in just blatant, like, illegal ways that doesn't make sense. So I start thinking about a different way that I can approach this. So I tell my attorney, because my attorney's telling me, like, she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know why they're not letting me, you know what I mean? She doesn't know why they're not letting me go to Cross Point when they said they could. She doesn't know why this. She doesn't know why that. Okay, well, then I want a change of venue. She's like, okay, why? Well, because this judge was my prosecutor before. He cannot be my judge. That is literally a law. Anyone can look that up right now. If I need to, hopefully, I'll include the law on here somewhere. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's literally a law. That is not a thing. That cannot be a thing.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you and ask you if it's okay and you sign it, which I never did. That was not something I did. I've literally asked for a change of venue, go to court. My attorney really thinking I'm going to need a change of venue again. And he says, I think I can judge him fairly. She looks at him and is like, what? It's like, we need a change of it. Nope, I think I can judge him fairly. End of story. Basically. Well, what? You know, so here's just another example of how people in power are definitely not doing the things they are supposed to do.
On freaking power trips.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Moving forward, she ends up basically telling me I can either take this plea, which at this point I've been in jail for like 7 months. Everything that I have done, like everything I had been charged with originally, I've completely done the time for. You know what I mean? Everything. So at this point, the only thing I'm in jail for is this escape or this failure to return that shouldn't even be a failure to return per what they've said. You know? Yeah. So it's just a crazy story. Anyway. So she tells me my best chance is to open plea. That I can get evidence and have people speak on my behalf and all of that. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, I can speak. You know, I'll have my mom speak. Shoot, I have a psychiatrist who is on my side who will speak for me. And so I talked to my psychologist. I think she's a psychologist. But I talked to her, and she says, oh yeah, definitely. You know, she writes this big letter out, gets it notarized, talking about how there was no way that, well, because whenever they put you in work release, they take you off of all medication. So if you are on medications that you need to be on, they literally force you off of those medications. That is not correct. So she tells them that, like, you know, this could even be a situation where you guys took him off of the medicine that I, as a doctor, prescribed him that he desperately needed, you know, and that could obviously make him want to take off too, you know. Mm-hmm. She defends me. Court comes, my mom goes up, speaks on my behalf. I talk to him too, right? The prosecutor gets their turn to speak, right? And she immediately brings up something about drug charges, or something about drugs. I have never been in trouble for drugs. I do not have a single drug charge. I have never in my life been in any trouble with drugs. So I tell my attorney, like, I don't even know what she's talking about. You know what I mean? And my attorney says the same thing. Well, okay, she says a couple of other things that are literally not real things, which my attorney again says, hey, this doesn't even make sense. Well, this whole time the judge is listening to these things. It's not like the judge can just take back what he's heard, for one. So yeah, sure, ignore what you've just heard, even though she's sitting here blasting me with complete lies, you know. Regardless, long story short, this judge does not do what he told the attorney he said he would do, which, you know, they ask you when you go to court, they say, has anyone coerced you? Has anyone forced you to sign this to open plea? Blah, blah. I really think people should start saying yes, like, you guys are coercing me right now. Mm-hmm. Like, you judge, you prosecutor, you all are literally trying to force me to do something like I'm not even guilty for, and you're trying to force me to do this. Yes, you guys are doing that. But regardless, instead of getting the, like, time served and a little bit of probation I was supposed to get, this judge sentenced me to the max sentence on a level 6, which is 2.5 years. Okay, so a situation where I truly need help, like I truly needed help. Instead, I get thrown into the worst possible situation someone in this world can basically be in, which is prison, and not just any prison. I get sent to one of the worst prisons in the entire world, in the entire United States. I know there's some bad prisons in the world, but in the U.S., I get sent to one of the worst prisons, like the 5th deadliest prison in the United States, on a level 6 felony. On a level 6 felony that I didn't even do. So anyway, that's the second main part of my story. There will be more to come. I just need people to hear this, and I'm really hoping that I get some justice in this situation, and anyone else that's in this situation, I really think you should speak out, because it needs to be heard.